Don Machiavelli.
I got shot. I always felt like I'd be shot. Somebody tried to do me some harm because a lot of people don't like me. But I didn't think it was going to happen at that particular moment. I'm surprised, but I'm happy. I believe that, this is all in God's hands. And I'm very appreciative to God for everything I've gotten to do. But also about death, we look at death from the selfish side. Like, that guy died. Oh, it's so sad. Why is it sad? He's away from all of this bad stuff that's here on earth. At the worst, he's just somewhere quiet, nothing. In my life, I was different things, different people.
I let them niggas know it's on for life. Don't let the West Side ride tonight. Bad boy running on rocks and kill. Fuck with me and get your cats bitch. Then my niggas say.
Some people say I was a thug and a gangster. Other people remember me as a poet and a born leader. But I'm saying to you, measure a man by his actions fully. Through his whole life, from the beginning to the end.
Get out the way, yo, get out the way.
Everybody's past is what made their future. It's like about destiny.
Speak drums. Tell the real story.
My mother was a Black Panther, and she was really involved in the movement.
Power, 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 power. Power to the people.
Just Black people bettering themselves and things like that. She had a high position in the Panther Party, which was like unheard of, because of course there was sexism, even in the Panthers. All of my roots to the struggle are real deep. I was named after this Inca chief from South America, whose name was Tupac, and I think the tribal breakdown means like intelligent warrior or something like that. He's a deep dude. If I go to South America, they're gonna love me, I'm telling you. My stepfather at the time, Shakor, he was also like a well-known revolutionary.
You can jail a revolutionary, but you can't jail a revolution.
I think that my mother, like Fred Hampton, Mark Clark, Harriet Tubman, they felt like they were laying tracks for the generation to come.
Come on in, little brother. Come on in, little sister. Y'all can sit down and get something to eat.
There was always white people around helping out. But still, there's racism. So when the Panthers hit, the government panicked, and they felt like the Panthers were detrimental to American society. Remember, this country did have a man named J. Edgar Hoover, whose job it was to destroy the credibility of any Black man coming up. And that's what they did to the Panthers.
Power to the people.
Bad breaks, setbacks.
The government raided every Panthers house, especially the ones who they felt like could do the most damage as an orator. So they just burst in and put a gun to my mother's head and said, "Don't move, you're under arrest." They treated him like less than human. My mother was pregnant with me while she was in prison. She was her own attorney, never been to law school. She was facing 300 and something odd years. One Black woman pregnant beat the case. That just go to show you the strength of a Black woman and the strength of the oppressed. And a month after she got out of prison, she gave birth to me. So I was cultivated in prison. My embryo was in prison. At first I rebelled against my mother because she was in the movement and we never spent time together because she was always speaking and going to colleges and everything. I always used to feel like she cared more about the people than her people. And then after that was over, it was more time spent with me, and we were both just like, you're my mother, and she was like, you're my son. So then she was really close with me and really strict almost. My mother is totally brilliant, totally understanding and caring, and she's human. I mean, she'll be wrong a lot, but we can talk about it. She taught me how to be community-oriented and to analyze society. So me and my sister grew up good, and we have good minds and everything, but we just didn't have money.
From the cradle to the grave, life ain't never been easy. Living in the ghetto.
Poverty it's no joke. If there was no money and everything depended on your moral standards and the way that you treated people, we'd be millionaires, we'd be rich. But since it's not like that, then we're stone broke. I can't always have what I want or even things that I think I need. Poverty. If I hated anything, it'd be that. My real father was a Black Panther, but when I was growing up, I never knew who my father was for sure. My stepfather was a gangster, a straight up street hustler. My mom, she had a kid, he didn't even care. And he's like, oh, that's my son. Took care of me, gave me money, but he was like a criminal too, out there doing his thing. And so he only came, bought me money, and then left.
It's okay for you to go up to Harlem and celebrate your birthday with your friends, but I don't think we would really fit in.
And I hate saying this because white people love hearing Black people talk about this. I know for a fact that had I had a father, I'd have had some discipline. I'd have had more confidence. Your mother cannot calm you down the way a man can. Your mother can't reassure you the way a man can. You know, my mother couldn't show me where my manhood was. So you need a man to teach you how to be a man. When I was young, I was quiet, withdrawn. I read a lot. I wrote poetry. I kept a diary. I watched TV all the time. I stayed in front of a television. And I could see all these people out there in this pretend world. And I knew I could be part of it if I pretended to. The way Arnold used to look when he used to come out on Different Strokes. I used to like the lifestyle, the way he used to live. So early on, I just watched and emulated. And I thought maybe if I can be an actor and I could act like those characters, I could have some of their joy.
Oh, thank you, Mr. D.
If I could act like I had a big family, I wouldn't feel as lonely. My first acting job was at the Apollo Theater when Jesse Jackson was running for president in 1984. It was a fundraiser, and I was a little kid. Travis from Raising the Sun. When the curtain went up, I just caught that bug that everybody talks about. When you're like, whoa, this is it. It was better than sex and anything, money, everything. It was just like, whoa, I want this. We moved out of New York because my mother lost her job. We were like stranded. So we moved to Baltimore, which was total ignorance town to me. I mean, Baltimore has the highest rate of blacks killing blacks in the country. When I auditioned for the Baltimore School of Performing Arts, and I started to have good luck times.
You know, parents are the same, no matter time, no place. They don't understand that us kids are going to make some mistakes. So to you other kids all across the land, there's no need to argue. Parents just don't understand.
I loved my classes. We were exposed to everything. You know, theater, ballet, listen to different types of music, songs that became the soundtrack to my life. But in my homeboys' high school, it's not like that. They don't have trips to go see this Broadway play, and they don't read things we were reading, and they didn't know what I was talking about when I was like, yo, Shakespeare is dope. They don't have the same experiences that we had. So then I started thinking, as the art school I went to was mostly for white kids and rich minorities. So I started going, damn, man, I would have been a totally different person had I not been exposed to these things.
I need money. I used to be a stick-up kid, so I think of all the devious things I did.
Hell no, I was living in the ghetto. We didn't have any lights and electricity. We was about to get evicted.
We want home. We want heat. We want lights. We want something to do for our children.
I thought, we're not being taught to deal with the world as it is. I think that rich people should live like poor people and poor people should live like rich people, and it should change every week.
Hunger only for a taste of justice. Hunger only for a world of truth, 'cause all that you have is your soul.
The president stirred up a hornet's nest earlier this week when he suggested the problems of the hungry came about because they were uninformed about where to go for help.
I mean, how can Reagan live in the White House, which has a lot of rooms, and there'd be homelessness? And he's talking about helping homelessness.
I don't believe that there is anyone that is going hungry in America simply by reason of denial or lack of ability to feed them. It is by people not knowing where or how to get this help.
Why can't he take some of them people off the street and put them in his White House? Then he'll have people from the streets to help him with his ideas. They haven't been homeless forever. They've done things in society, but then the White House would be a little tainted because he doesn't want to get dirty. Growing up in America, I loved my childhood, but I hated growing up poor. We live in hell. We live in the gutter. We are living in a war zone. We got us stacked up 80 deep in one building. You know, by the time you get out your house, you strapped to protect yourself.
This is the ballad of a dead soldier. Life of crime, close your eyes, hear the ballad of a dead soldier. Crazy world full of close your eyes.
The same crime element that white people are scared of, black people are scared of. While they waiting for the legislation to pass and everything, we next door to the killer. All them killers that they letting out, they right there in that building. Just because we black, we get along with the killers or something? What is that? We need protection too.
Nigga, you know, it's the ballad of a dead soldier.
Then I came to California to escape that violence. Come to Marin City, and there's even more poverty. I was finally starting to see it. The one thing we do have in common as black people is we share that poverty. I made it to where I had knowledge that this wasn't just me, it was a bigger picture. It was my people that's really just getting dogged out. It wasn't just my family, it was all of us. Moving to Baltimore and Oakland and Marin and New York, and the poverty like helped me to like relate to everybody's struggle. But don't get the wrong idea, I feel like I'm being gloomy. I don't mean just be like, damn it, it's bad out there. I still try to be positive.